On the night of January 5th, 1919, President Theodore Roosevelt was suffering from breathing issues at his home in Oyster Bay, New York. Roosevelt's last words were, "Please put out the light, James." James Olmos was his personal attendant and bodyguard. The next morning, between 4 and 4:15, he died in his sleep. He was only 60 years old. The cause of death was a blood clot that had detached from a vein and traveled to his lungs. To pay tribute to the former 26th president, flags were flown at half-mast across the country and territories. When his son, Archibald, received word of his father's death, he telegrammed his brothers, Kermit and Ted, who were stationed with the Allied Army of Occupation overseas. The telegraph read, "The old lion is dead." Thomas R. Marshall, the man who would be Woodrow Wilson's vice president, said that death had to take Roosevelt sleeping, for if he had been awake, there would be a fight. The past speaks to us. Let's go see what it has to say. The Roosevelts held a private farewell service in the north room of their Oyster Bay home. The funeral was simple and was held at Christ Episcopal Church in Oyster Bay. In attendance were Vice President Thomas R. Marshall, 11th Chief Justice Charles Evan Hughes, 29th President Warren G. Harding, Senator Henry Cabot Lodge, and 27th President William H. Taft. The procession walked a snow-covered route to Young's Memorial Cemetery. The street was lined with spectators and a squad of mounted police who had ridden from New York accompanied Roosevelt. Roosevelt was buried on a hillside overlooking his beloved Oyster Bay. Many dignitaries came to Roosevelt's grave to pay their respects. In this footage, King Albert of Belgium visits Roosevelt's grave in Oyster Bay. He is accompanied by his son, Prince Leopold, Theodore Roosevelt Jr., and several dignitaries. King Albert requested that no pictures be taken at the gravesite. In the summer of 1919, Edward, the Prince of Wales, later King Edward VIII, made his first visit of a Prince of Wales to the United States since that of his grandfather, Edward VII, 55 years earlier. On his last day in New York, November 21st, 1919, the prince made a semi-private journey to Oyster Bay. The footage shows the prince placing a laurel wreath on the grave. If you are a fan of the HBO show Deadwood, or even a fan of the Old West, you know the name Zeph Bullock. Zeph Bullock was Deadwood, South Dakota's legendary first sheriff. Teddy Roosevelt and Zeph Bullock were dear friends. They met in 1892 on the range outside of Deadwood. They soon became lifelong friends. As a tribute to his recently deceased friend, Bullock erected the Mount Roosevelt Memorial above Deadwood in Roosevelt's honor. It is also known as the Friendship Tower. Bullock died only months after the tower's dedication in 1919. He had two final requests before his death. One was he wanted his tombstone to feature only one word, pioneer. The other was for his grave to be high enough on the hill of Mount Moriah Cemetery to have a clear view of Mount Roosevelt across the canyon. Both were granted. If you visit Zeph's grave, you can't see the tower anymore due to the tree growth. But the tower is still there today and is often visited by Deadwood tourists. Today, Roosevelt's house is now Sagamore Hill National Historic Site. From the historic site, you can easily visit President Roosevelt's gravesite, as it is located approximately 1.5 miles south of his historic home.